strikes on Kobani as Kurdish forces thwart an Islamic State advance into the heart of the town.
Also on Weekend Breakfast, a young man in a coma after a vicious assault at Sydney's Bondi beach.
Ebola screening stepped up at airports around the world as aid groups urged nations to focus more on West Africa.
And some Spanish flair in the A-League. Star import David Villa scores his first goal for Melbourne City.
Good morning. It's Sunday the 12th of October. I'm Eliza Harvey.
And I'm Andrew Gagan. Thanks so much for watching. Also on the program this hour, today is the 12th anniversary of the Bali bombings that killed 202 people, including 88 Australians. The attacks on Paddy's Bar and the Sari Club on October the 12th, 2002, marked the worst terrorist attack in Australian or Indonesian history.
The top stories from ABC News, and we begin with a developing story out of Baghdad. 3 large car bombs have exploded in the last few hours, killing at least 30 people. 2 of the bombs went off in the same suburb 30 minutes apart. All were detonated in Shiite neighbourhoods. There's no word yet on who's responsible for the attacks. Also in the Middle East this morning, Kurdish forces defending the Syrian border town of Kobani have urged a US-led coalition to escalate airstrikes on Islamic State fighters. Over the past 2 days, the American military conducted 6 airstrikes against IS militants near the besieged city. But despite joint efforts, the jihadists managed to tighten their grip on Kobani. A monitoring group says the Kurdish forces will face inevitable defeat in the town if Turkey doesn't open its border to let weapons through. But so far, Ankara has been reluctant to do so.
A man is in a critical condition after being attacked at Bondi Beach in Sydney's east overnight. Police believe the 21-year-old was standing on the footpath on Campbell Parade when he was punched in the back of the head shortly after midnight. He fell to the ground and was kicked before his attacker ran off. The injured man was taken to hospital with serious head injuries and has been placed in an induced coma. Police are still searching for his attacker.
2 men have survived a shark attack off Dunsborough on the southwest coast of Western Australia. The pair were in an inflatable boat when a shark targeted it shortly after 5 o'clock last night. The boat was punctured by the attack, but the men safely made it back to shore. The beach was closed after the incident. Police and WA fisheries officers are investigating. It's the second shark attack in Western Australia off the Western Australian coast this month. 23-year-old Sean Pollard lost both hands and part of an arm in an attack at Wiley Bay near Esperance on the state's south coast. After that attack, the Fisheries Department laid drumlines and killed 2 great white sharks in the area.
South Australian Independent MP Bob Such has died at the age of 70. Dr Such had been battling a brain tumour and passed away yesterday in an Adelaide hospice. A member for the state seat of Fisher since 1989, Dr Such resigned from the Liberal Party in 2000 before becoming an independent. He introduced numerous bills, including anti-hoon and spent conviction laws. In a statement, Dr Such's wife Lynn says she and her family were devastated at their loss.
Poverty in Australia is on the rise, with 1 in 7 people now living below the poverty line. A report by the Australian Council on Social Service also found that 1 in 6 Australian children are living in poverty. The study, based on Bureau of Statistics data, shows the percentage of Australians living below the poverty line rose in the 2 years from 2010 to 2012. The poverty line is defined as 50% of median income and was $400 a week for a single adult and $840 for a couple with 2 children in 2012. ACOS says Tasmania has the highest poverty rate of any state at 15.1%.
The John F. Kennedy Airport in New York has started a health screening program to try to stem the Ebola outbreak. Any passengers arriving from Liberia, Sierra Leone and Guinea will have their temperatures checked. The aid agency Save the Children says instead of focusing on fears at home, the international community needs to act urgently in West Africa. US health officials say the new screenings add an additional level of security.
We can't get the risk to zero. That will not be the case, but this additional layer should add a measure of security and assurance to the American public. This entry screening procedure, for example, would not necessarily have caught the patient in Dallas as indicated, and no port of exit or port of entry or airline response procedure will supplant the need for state and local public health departments, clinics, hospitals to be prepared to detect a case might it occur.
In Hong Kong, pro-democracy activists are keeping up their pressure on authorities after protests continued overnight. Hundreds of activists have pitched their tents on a main highway in the city centre. Observers say after a brief lull, the number of protesters is rising again. The activists want a fully free vote in elections due to be held in 2017 for the post of chief executive.
At least 20 people have been injured in Japan during a powerful typhoon which has hit the southern Okinawa Islands. Typhoon Vongfong has now been downgraded from a super typhoon, but Japanese officials say it remains large and very strong. Japan's meteorological agency says Vongfong is expected to approach Japan's southern main island of Kyushu by early Monday and could make landfall. Residents have been warned of high waves, torrential rain and landslides.
A mass evacuation is underway on India's southeastern coast, where cyclone Hudhud is expected to hit land. Around 150,000 people have already left their homes in the state of Andhra Pradesh, and a further 300,000 could soon be moved inland. The strength of the cyclone has been revised upwards since Friday, and the Indian Navy is on standby to help. Disaster relief teams are also being mobilised.
At the time of crossing the coast, the wind speed is likely to be 160 to 170 km per hour, gusting up to 185 km per hour.
Their response to an Ebola outbreak in Britain. We'll find out more about Australia's protection plans.
Also ahead, medical experts are warning that skin cancer doesn't discriminate after a Perth toddler had surgery to remove a melanoma.
Let's take a look at the satellite. A low-pressure trough over inland parts of Queensland is triggering showers and storms. A moist westerly flow ahead of a cold front is generating patchy drizzle over Tasmania, while a trough over the northwestern parts of WA is causing some isolated storms. Looking around the country now, and in Queensland, showers and storms in the central and eastern parts, sunny in the southwest. New South Wales can expect some showers and storms along the ranges, but a drier day in the far west. In Victoria, showers and storms in the east of the state, heavy about the ranges, mostly dry in the west. For Tasmania, late gusty showers in the west, drier in the southeast. In South Australia, a cool change with some gusty southerly winds in the south, hot in the north. Looking at Western Australia, it'll be very hot and dry in the Kimberley and Pilbara, but cool along the southern coasts. And for the Northern Territory, hot but cooler near the coast. Looking ahead to tomorrow's forecast for the capital cities, thunderstorms in Brisbane, possible thunderstorms for Sydney and Canberra, a chance of showers for Melbourne, Hobart and Adelaide, and a mostly sunny day in Perth and Darwin.